I think I define myself as a very goal-orientated person. I feel as though I strive the best if I have a clear vision of what I want to pursue, right? And if you see this in a more holistic perspective of my workout journey, you can kind of tell that, especially with calisthenics, my goals are, to achieve a full planche, full front lever, and all these isometric holds, other dynamic holds, and so on, right? So I guess this form of a very narrowed mindset regarding goals kind of becomes an almost unhealthy obsession where when we're considered or we're told to enjoy the moment, enjoy the process, right? You can't really objectively see yourself in the moment, right? What we like to do, or at least in my part, what I love to do is I like to document my progression. I really like to look back and see how much I improved. That's one of the main motivating factors that allows me to pursue what I'm doing right now and just keeping this YouTube channel as almost as a diary of my my progression, right? And in the moment when you're in that present in the present moment of that timeline, it's difficult to, I guess, have an honest enjoyment of what you do. It's not entertaining when you look back at your workouts and look back at your progression and you don't, you stagnated, right? It's hard to see the future. It's hard to see where you're going with your development when you can't really see what your present progression is doing, like what your present training is resulting in, right? So in that sense, I guess, especially with my planche journey, you can kind of tell that when you compare my journey and my dedication to the planche, it's very honest. It's different to the very saturated media where people have those videos like, oh, the 12-month planche progression where they're like zero planche to full planche in 12 months, right? These guys, I don't, I believe that it only took them a year to do so, right? But, you got to consider body types. Sometimes people are genetically predisposed to be, very resilient to calisthenics training, and they're able to, I guess, progress exponentially, especially with isometric holds, right? You got to consider body leverages, lengths of your limbs, the weight distribution. Some people might be a bit more leg dominant or upper body dominant, right? So in that sense, that form of entertainment where you see motivating videos becomes unrealistic if you compare it to an objective person, right? Now, I don't really consider my background in where, just in general, I don't consider my physical body as average, right? When I pursued calisthenics at the start, I saw very fast progression, right? But when you kind of have that fast sudden progression and you plateau, you get, I guess you get used to that high of progression. You want as once you start to not see as much progression, especially when you go from like a tuck planche to shuttle planche, where forming that tuck planche is a lot easier than going from like the advanced tuck to straddle planche. That's when things really start to test your dedication and your commitment. You can't rely on like those temporary moments of motivation where you get the adrenaline rush looking at these planche videos, seeing people doing all these cool moves, and then it kind of gives you that temporary satisfaction, right? Gives you that drive and that boost in order to pursue that final workout, right? But you get used to that feeling. You get used to seeing these moves constantly, seeing these very rapid progression, and almost if you obsess over this, if you let this consume you, working out gets boring. It's not entertaining. It gets you're I guess what you're doing is you're imposing these unrealistic expectations as an average progressive goal, right? So in that sense, that's one of these big flaws that I've developed with these training sessions. And like a few comments said, you need to have faith and time. You need patience with calisthenics. And I guess you could even say this about weightlifting, right? Maybe even more so for that, because your progression is simply, I guess you can only see this progression in increments of like 2 pounds, 10 pounds after like 2 months of dedication. That in itself may actually be a lot more demotivating than calisthenics, where you can actually really see a physical display of strength, right? You're able to perform a more advanced position of this hold, or like you advance from like tuck levers to the full lever, right? It's a display of strength rather than I guess a feeling of lifting heavier weights, right? It's more so a control of your body, and I guess that's what makes calisthenics very entertaining and, you know, very alluring compared to lifting in general, right? So I guess in that sense, overall, because of this very goal-orientated mindset, um, I've been starting to lose a bit of motivation, and decided since this week to lay back from that, like just continue on with a very structured workout and don't worry about comparing myself to other people's progressive speed, right? Keep it to yourself and work it through with increments. Like you want incremental strength increases, right? So in that sense, that's something I need to improve on and I'm slowly working towards. So basically that's it, and I'll finish it off here.